Today I will try to trace the inter-axle lock switch just to find out how it works, which axle works when you have locked or unlocked. That's the inter-axle lock switch. How do you know that you are locked or not? Of course you can know by the light. You turn it on, you turn it off. You can also know from the driver information panel. You come here, you press the return, you press the return again, and you move your way around from here. You look at the screen. That is not where you want to go. That may be it. That is it. So you go to the drivers where it say a truck. You can see a truck at the top, and the axle you can see a circuit. No, you don't see anything now. I have to press something. If I come here and press that button, that is on. You go here, it lights on. You can see it from a distance. That's better. That's better. If you push it off, unlock it, you can hear the sound. You go here, it unlocks. Let me do it again. Push it on, it is on here. If you look at here, it is on. Before I go outside, I want to remind you how many air pressure you have at your fingers. It is one for the suspension, one for the fifth wheel, one for sliding unlocking the kingpin. This is unique in this truck. Some trucks they don't have that. You have to order that function. And you have the differential lock. Remember, we have 4 here. When I go outside, I'm going to show you how these 4s are shown under the hood. We are in Idaho. If you look at the sun, 6 o'clock in the morning, the sky is filled with smoke because of the California fire. It's almost 1,000 miles away, but the entire sky is filled with smoke. That is Idaho in August. Now let us go under the hood. Under the hood, that is the driver's, the engine compartment. If you look carefully here, how many hoses you have? You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 air hoses coming from the top, and the 2 are cancelled. Why do you have 5 here and you have 4 buttons there? My only explanation is one is the thick one supposed to supply air, the other 4 supposed to control air. So another way, this thick hose right here is the supply, and these 4 hoses right here are the controls. That is my guess. We are going to find out. You can trace each hose to find where it comes from. I'm not going to do that, but I'm going to do something else. So now we agreed that the front axle is the primary axle. You have 2 axles here. That is the primary axle, that is the secondary axle. How does the second axle become activated? How do you lock it in? If you go around the axle, if you look at the axle, you are not going to have any controls around it. The hoses, the blue hose in the back, that is for the airbag. That axle, I looked around from all directions, there is nothing here that tells you that it's controlled. But if you look at this axle is controlled. How it is controlled? Look at that lever right here. That's coming from the side. If you look at the side where it comes from, there is a blue hose right there. A blue narrow hose and a thick blue hose. And another electric plug next to it. So my guess is that lever here is the control lever that locks the secondary drive shaft. The secondary drive shaft is the one that is going back, the center. This one right there. This is the secondary drive shaft that locks the back axle, the rear axle. And this lever here is the one that engages or disengages the differential. And the blue hose is the one that it rotates like this, up or down. We are going to figure that out in a minute. So as you see here, you have a blue hose. Do we have a blue hose in the front? Yeah, this is the blue hose. So this is the hose that controls the differential. If you cut this hose here, you lose control of the differential. That's for now. So the way I am going to watch that lever going up or down is that I'm going to use that cell phone. That's an old Verizon cell phone, AZT. Doesn't work anymore. I'm going to put it on the video and watch when I engage the transmission. You are going to watch in the video something goes up and down if everything works okay. Assuming that my understanding is correct. So let us see what's going to happen. Now the truck is running and I am engaging locking the differential. Let me see if the phone is still there or not. The phone is still standing. All I have to do here is to push the button. Record. Now it is recording. Perfect. I have to go back, do some stuff. While it is recording, all I have to do here is to push this one on, off, on, unlock, lock, unlock, lock. Did that help? Will that work? Let us see. Let me turn it off. I hope the phone is still there. The phone did a good job. It is still there. I can stop it now. Perfect. Stopped it. Let us see if it works or not. Where is the gallery? File management. Gallery. No, not gallery. Gallery is right there. Right there. Perfect. Did it work? Let me see. Let us play it. Go, baby, go. Now it is recording. Perfect. I have to go back. Malcolm did a good job. It's still there. I can stop it now. I engaged the differential to see the difference. You can tell there is a difference. If we disconnect it, what will be the difference? To see what happened. First guess about how the differential interaxle lock works didn't work. Turned out there is a hose under the differential gearbox. Let me just show you before I take off. Let me show you the lousy design of the Freightliner Cascadia. Look at the genius who invented this dial. This is a mechanical dial, right? He put two dials, blue and white. The white is for the needle and the blue is for the def. He put here two dials, blue and white. They are overlapping for the air pressure, primary and secondary dial. Why would you use rotating dials, mechanical rotating dials in the year 2020? Because of the latest design. This is made in Mexico. This truck is made in Mexico. It's an American truck, but manufactured in Mexico. So you have technology that's obsolete. Here is the RPM. Here is your speed, mile per hour, maximum 85. Here is your RPM, maximum 2500 because you multiply by 100. This is your oil pressure or temperature. It is oil pressure, PSI. This is two fuel. There is no need for that stupid design. This is two air pressure monitors. You don't need that. Anyway, here is your water temperature, maximum 250. Now we have rotating dial 1, 2, 3, 4. This is 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is 2. That's 8 rotating dials. So why do you need them? Okay, let us now go to the tablet. They bought a tablet, a cheap tablet. They put it in the middle. So when you're driving a truck, you can kill people if you make a mistake, if you are distracted. Then you have to use the keyboard. This is your keyboard. This is your keyboard. What do you want to do? You want to navigate. You want to navigate through how many files? 1, 2, 3, 4, that's 6 files at the top. Going to do that when you're driving? No. So let us just go to the first one by moving my finger here. That is 1. That is 2. Here it's say leg. Let me just magnify it. Let's say leg. Let us just see what it means. If you wanted to go to reset, you say okay. That is, say hold okay. The okay is right here. This is your okay. I'm not going to reset. Let me reset. So what the hell? Let me reset. Reset. I don't know if it reset. Hold. It did reset. Perfect. It reset everything. It reset the distance, the mile per hour, the mph, the mile per gallon, the hour minute. Okay, fine, no problem. Now you want it to go up or down, you push this up, this bottom right here, up. Right here, up. What does it do? When you let me to go down, if you keep going down, it will take you back to the reset. If you go up here, it will take you to the how many miles per hour. No, this is the how many miles on the engine, 42,516 mile per gallon, 8.6, which is good. Maximum speed 49. How many hours? Okay, we are not going to reset that. If you go up again, it will give you some indicator, trip miles per gallon. Tell you the volt, 14.2. It will tell you the total mileage of the truck. It tell you the temperature outside. We are in Idaho. Here is Idaho. Okay, now you wanted to go to the function number 2, the folder number 2. Folder number 2 is right here. Driving assistance. How many functions? This is the most important folder you need. It should not be hidden behind it. It should be right in front of you. You should get rid of this, get rid of that. because this tells you who is next to you on the side. It tells you the lane deviation, if you crossed the lanes or not. It tells you who is in front of you. It doesn't work unless I drive. I'm standing here. It tells you how far is the car in front of you. Doesn't tell you how fast it is, which is a stupid design. So all the Freightliner 2019, 2018, it gives you the speed of the car in front of you, so you can take over if you wanted to. All you got here tells you it's 8 o'clock in the morning, N for economy neutral, and mile per hour, and it is going to move when you start to move. If you go up here, it tells you, look at the stupid design, 0 mile per hour, temperature, and so why do you need a digital speedometer here? Right here, it says speed, and you need a rotating speedometer here. We say, well, 2 is not bad. You have digital and rotating. Well, when you drive, we do not want 2. You wanted a simplest speedometer. Are you going to look here for the speed, or are you going to look here for the dial? Okay, let us move on. If you look carefully at this dial and you compare it to your car, I am just magnifying it. If I reduce it like that, this is the way my eyes see it. You cannot read it at night. And you don't need 2 of them in the same spot. You need to get rid of this, get rid of this, get rid of this, and buy a decent Chinese tablet instead of buying a Mexican design. Now let us go to the file number 2. It's a truck. You have to press here. You press here. Now you are at the truck. Say locked. No, it is not locked. Let us go to up. It tells you the regeneration, how much suit level you have. Can you reset it? No. If you try to reset it, let me just try to play with it. Let me push OK and hold. Say push OK. You push OK to start regeneration. Press OK. Let me press OK. Let us see what's going to happen. Push OK. Say no. Manual. Let me press again. Press. Say manual regeneration not allowed. The factory, the company said you cannot manually regenerate. Fine. So it is useless, correct? Let us go down on that function. The axle. Let us go up. This is the oil temperature 127. Is it the oil temperature? Yeah. So why do you need the oil temperature here? And you have oil pressure here. Why do you need it here? Because it is Mexican design. Let us go to the function number 3, which is next to it, pushing this dial right here. What do you have here? You have 4 functions on this item only. You can go up. It tells you how many hours the engine was, whatever. It tells you there are no active codes if you go up, alerts. I am pushing with my fingers, okay? Right here. It tells you here the 4 functions, how many hours in the engine, no active error. Let me go back again here. If you wanted to see any of this, you press what? Press OK. You press OK here. It tells you want to update the software. If you say yes or no, you can say yes or no. It's going to give you an error because you are not authorized for it. So you press return. Say press return here. You press return, it's right here. The ABS, if you press any one of these functions, I made a mistake here. Now you have to press OK. Press OK. Now, can you go up and down in this screen? Yeah, say no active error. Now if you press OK here, it will give you, yeah, you have to press OK here. Now you press OK, you can, let me just go to one of them. All of them will be the same, ABS. You press OK again, right here. It tells you collecting fault information, and it will come back to say no fault, no problem. Okay, that is helpful. Let us go back again. I'm going to go to the music, which is this function right there. Come on. Oh, okay, it wants me to say okay, to say return. return. Now we are up. So now at the music. The telephone. No, phone not connected. We're not going to connect it. Let us go to the next one. AXU. This is useful. You can play your music here by connecting your phone to the radio. The radio is right here. Here is my connection, and here is my player. You can play your phone while you're driving. You can play your music, and if you press OK, to give you the option, AXU auxiliary. You can move up. You can move radio. You can move from here FM. You can move from here AM. You can move from here WH. You can move from X back again to it. So let us go back to return. We return. So what do we need? The last one at the end. This one right here. It's say person. Let us see what it is. Yeah. If you wanted to set the alarm, today is Sunday, August 23, 2020. Do you want to set the alarm? No, we are not going to use the alarm. I don't know who's going to depend on the alarm of a truck. Let us go to the function up. I'm going to raise my finger up. It say dash brightness. Here you have to come all the way here to adjust the brightness, the lighting, the units, and the time. What do you have in the units? You cannot do any. Okay. Take you back to the alarm. Here it take you back to the settings. You have to press OK to enter here. Let us press OK. Now you wanted to change what? The lightning? Say OK. It tells you you don't need all that. Okay, that is enough for today. I just wanted to show you the marvel of the American. When Americans make truck in Mexico, how do they look like? You look like you buy something from Radio Shack and something from AutoZone, and you mix them together with some taco, some salsa, some salad, some mayonnaise. You come up with a lousy truck. That's all you can get from. Look at that. You're driving at night. You wanted to have to see who is next to you, who's driving. What do you think you can do it? You cannot do it any other way other than that. You have to put your finger here. Look at the screen. You have to, that's 1, that is 2, that is 3, that is 4. That's your speed. You do not want that. What do you have to do? You have to come here. You have to push down. Now you have to see the person next to you. Did you see how many times how many presses I have to think about all these functions? If you press here, it take you somewhere else. What happened when you're driving at 65 miles an hour? They make all these things flat. It's the only one that goes down. Okay. If you wanted to find which key will take you to the most critical one, look at my finger. This is number 1. This is number 1. This is the one that you need. Driving assistance. You don't need this one. You don't need the speedometer because you have a speedometer here. Why do you need this one? You need the driver assistance. It tells you who's next to you, who is in front of you, and if you're crossing the lanes or not. This screen should be right in front of you all the time. You don't need to press all these keys to get to it. And you don't need a flat surface at night. You cannot see it. Is that enough? That's enough for today. Fine. Now here is the problem. When you look at the differential in the back, you don't see any hoses here going around it. From the bottom, the same thing. Look at the front. Now, what you look down here, when you look down here, that arm is fixed on as a differential box, which means this arm is not the differential lock. This arm is for as a sensor of the separation of the two frames. That frame of the differential gear, which is connected to the ground, and that frame right here that is suspended on the suspension, the sleeve spring. So this arm, what it does, it measures the difference between the two levels, and it helps the traction. You look at the other side, the white hose, that is a differential hose, comes from the front. So we are going to go to the front and see how it is connected. But that is for sure a sensor for traction, not a switch for locking and unlocking the differential. So that didn't work. What would work? You look carefully at the bottom. There is a white hose right here. There is a white hose, air hose, that most probably does that. Where does it come from? Find out. Here is the differential, and here is the hose that controls the locking and the unlocking. Where does it come from? Goes this way, and it has, we'll find out, it has to be connected to the front. This is the hose that controls the differential. The other one doesn't do that. Look at the back one, does not have the same mechanism. The back differential does not have the same air control shifter or locking and unlocking mechanism like this one. So that is a definitive answer. That is a definitive answer for now. Where does the hose come from? When you revisit the front under the hood, here is the white hose that comes from the differential gear. It comes, as you see, from the bottom of the cabin. It goes where? It goes at the bottom, if you see right there. So in the bottom, that spot right there, my fingers are, you have, that is the hose that controls the differential, locking and unlocking the differential. What are the other two doing? We'll leave them for now. If you look here at the hoses, the white hose, the air hoses, right here. That is differential hose, the white hose. That one's right here. Goes back here. When you look under the hood, you are going to see the three, the white, the yellow, the orange, the green. Those are the three hoses, the four hoses that you see it in the front. That one here is a differential. did it work? It did do very good. So we are going to see after we get the video, we are going to see. When you try to apply the laws of physics on the suspension of a tractor trailer, you run into the problem is that the suspension doesn't move a lot. So the kinetic energy might distract you. You might think there is a violation of the laws of physics, but that is not the case. Let us look at the spring. That is a spring right here, suspended on that arm. Look at how thick it is. On the other side, it is suspended on the hydraulic pump, hydraulic piston, oil piston, and suspended with a huge 2U pipes, and the airbag is right here. So where are the forces? The forces come from the frame pushing down in this direction. The other side, the force is pushing down on this direction. Where is the reaction of these two forces? The reaction is in the middle, and there is another reaction in that oil piston. What does the oil piston do? The oil piston just regulates or modulates the reaction. So why do you need a spring? Why do you need suspension? If you look carefully, you discover that the suspension's job is to delay the effect of this force, the vertical force, when it reaches the frame, the axle, such that the force of the trailer and the truck, when it bounces up and down, it will cause an acceleration here. Acceleration means it's going up and down. That's the force will apply at this point, the form of acceleration. The spring is going to take some time to transfer the acceleration from here to the axle. That time is all you need. So the suspension is simply a delay or a damper of force. Does it obey the conservation of energy? Of course. The same energy that you move up and down through the force on this side, on the other side, will be delivered to the axle with one caveat that is going to be delayed in the delivery. How is the spring going to suffer? It's going to get hot because of the second law of thermodynamics of conservation of energy. The energy shows up in the vertical vibration. It has to show up again in the spring, in the elastic design of the spring that function as a damper or a delay beam. If you look at the cross section of the spring, you discover that it is thicker here. It is thicker when it goes to the axle, and it is thinner here. Why it is thicker? Because the closer you get to the axle, you need a thicker and a thicker leaf that is designed to resist the torque. The torque is the vertical force multiplied by the distance. The more you come to the axle, the more torque you got, the more heat you got, the more temperature variation you got. So you make the metal thicker and thicker and thicker and thicker until you come to the end, to the axle. If you go to the museum, you discover in the old days they used to make that spring 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 layers. That is the first law of thermodynamics, is the variation of heat. The second law is the conservation of energy, which we explained how the spring gets hot and it have to cool itself. Can you take away this spring and put a ceramic spring? It won't work because the ceramic does not conduct heat. So you needed a metal spring to be able to comply with the laws of thermodynamics. How do you apply the third law of thermodynamics? The law of entropy. If you look very carefully here, very careful right here, you have a grommet or a closed chamber that have to have grease in it to cut down on the wear and tear. If you don't have grease here, it will get very hot and it will destroy it. If you look at how thick the metal is, it's very thick in order to dissipate heat. That is the third law of thermodynamics. The first law of mechanics, the inertia law, it's very evident in the thickness of this piece of metal that transmits the force that over 16,000 pounds down, that have to be so thick. And when it moves a little bit here, any distance going up and down, it creates the acceleration depending on the force, which is the second law, Newton's second law of motion. That force in that portion here, that acceleration, you have to dampen it or cut it down by the spring. So by the time your tires gets the force, it will be delayed and smoothened and softened so you can have a nice ride. If you don't have a spring, what's going to happen? Going to have acute acceleration, acute force that will exceed the limits of your material. So your material are going to break down. If you look at this side here, on this side, the U-beam, the U-tube is what's resisting the reaction or the separation of the axle from the frame. The reaction have to be equivalent to the action in magnitude and opposite in direction. If you look at the joint, it have to have grease inside and sealed, because there is heat generated, you have to dissipate the heat. That is the second law of thermodynamics. That is the third law of action and reaction. If you look at what do the airbags do? The airbags, they will support or augment or help the hydraulic, the oil hydraulic, in such a way that the oil is very slow in regulating the force. It takes time. The air is very fast. So you have the two compensation, a fast responder or a damper. A fast responder, that is the air, and a slow responder. These two reaction on this side with a force on the front. So if you look from the side here, from this side, you have a force here that is the load that's pushing down. And you have an opposite and equal reaction here in the airbag and the oil shock absorber. These two are reaction, the action in the middle, and there's a spring between them. The spring's job is just to delay the delivery of energy that due to the loading of the fifth wheel. That energy need to be delayed when it comes to the wheels or distributed on longer time. That is the entire job of the spring shock absorber or suspension. That sometimes is very elusive when you try to apply physics to it. You cannot design any mechanical machine or structure without complying with the laws of physics. Where does it break? It will break where the temperature is maximal. The maximum force is right here. The force, as you go down, the maximum torque is right here. Because it can break easily at that spot close to the axle, the designer make it so thick. If you look from the bottom, the profile, it is thicker, coming wider. It can break here, so the designer makes that metal so thick. So it can dissipate the heat away. The most important part was how many bolts you put here. You have 3 bolts here, 3 bolts here. Well, the reason that you have 6 bolts with this massive structure is because you have lateral forces. On that structure you have only vertical force, so you have no problem of having a single joint. In that portion you have the frame and the vertical beam that transfers the load vertically from the frame to the springs. That portion, the lateral forces are enormous. That's why you have to have a wide metal surface with that kind of bolt structure support. And believe it or not, the country of origin, Mexico. That is a Freightliner. That is our Freightliner. And that is a manufacturer company in Mexico. Very cool, huh? Mexico makes trucks for America. This is the maximum bound 12,000 and 20,000 per axle. First interaxial 20,000. The pressure cold 120 on the front, 110 on the back. The cold PSI. On the right side, here are some useful information. Horsepower, here is 400 horsepower. Engine size is 14.8 liter. Maximum RPM 1625. Front axle mode